Snowden's whistleblowing. One of the most shocking facts disclosed by Mr. Snowden, New Zealand GCSBga spying on South Korean candidate during WTO election in 2013. Do you think NSA has sufficient power to access such email contents freely through Xkeyscore? Do you think the agency have ability to vacuum up almost all the contents of emails?
Well, I can't answer the question specifically, just that
Yeah.
when it comes to foreign intelligence, it's anything is fair game. Okay, so if it's not a U.S. citizen, doesn't matter whether it's an ally or not. Particularly if it's what they call third party, then it's fair game. And it's a spy business, spy versus spy, and spy on anybody. You can get away with it. So I don't find it unusual at all that would take place. Does NSA have the power to access just about any email if they want to, or in cooperation with other intelligence agencies? Yes.
A journalist, Mr. Glenn Greenwald, disclosed that NSA implanted a backdoor to Cisco routers, which were to be exported abroad, and NSA exploited all the internet packets passing through the router. Implementation.
It's not shocking at all that an intelligence agency such as NSA, if it has a special relationship with a company like Cisco, and if there's an opportunity to plan a backdoor or make an arrangement to have a backdoor, they will do so. Particularly if the router is going to go to a place where it might be handy to have access to other information, especially if it's a router. Not unusual at all.
Concern is that NSA can collect internet packets of civilians, not of targets. Isn't it possible? That is one big concern among Korean civilians.
It might be a concern, but again, all Korean civilians are considered foreign by NSA and the U.S. government. It doesn't matter what the relationships are diplomatically. It doesn't matter what the alliance is, in terms of all the aftermath of the Korean War from the 1950s, the Korean conflict. It's the reality of today in modern technology, and so unfortunately, the technology, which in itself is impassive here, is how it's used. It's the use principle, and the way in which modern technology works. When you're talking about packet-based communications, it makes it very, very easy, very conveniently easy, I might add, to sweep up everything or nearly everything that's going across a particular channel, whatever that channel is.
So basically, what is it like the cooperation between agencies? Could you draw the picture of the relationship?
I can't give you specifics because some of the specifics are highly classified. I just tell you it's a close continuing partnership and has existed for many, many years. Korea is a special partner because of the conflict, okay, and where it's located in the world in terms of geopolitical dynamics and reality. It's defined as third party, quote unquote, by NSA, but I would call it a special relationship in its own way, and it's been long standing.
In the interview with the Spiegel, they asked the question, why German government want to cooperate with the U.S. intelligence agency, even though their prime minister was had the eavesdropping. The same question for Korea.
The United States was, the senior ally. The United States, in terms of relationship, is the big brother, and so it has tremendous leverage in terms of arrangements and agreements, both public and private, and everything in between. So, in spite of taking advantage of it in even spying on its own allies, including the highest level, up to and including, like if you're talking Germany, Angela Merkel, then hey, it's to our advantage to do so. And even if it comes to light, even if it's made public, as we've known, Germany did not want to jeopardize the fundamental transatlantic relationship with the United States in spite of all the revelations. The equivalent of that would apply to South Korea.
What do you think the surveillance power of the modern states have is like when we compare to the other authoritarian regimes?
It's far, far, far beyond. I mean, we're talking orders of magnitude because the technology is enabled just based on the sheer vast scope, scale, and size of the data streams. The volume, variety, velocity is such a scale now. It's a scale. It's a scope in the scale, and they've adapted to it. So it's extraordinary amounts of information are now available on a whole host of things for people. So it really is sort of the 1984 where it is possible, even beyond 1984, where it is possible to actually have a persistent mass surveillance regime that spreads itself across virtually across the entire globe, wherever there's electronic communications of any kind. And that's a threat to sovereignty and the inalienable rights of human beings. That's where I currently stand on all this and continue to speak out about it, because the temptations are enormous. If you have this kind of power at your disposal, even in so-called democratic nations, the temptation is to use it, and ultimately it comes home to roost. You will use it even on your own people.
An expert, a security expert in Korea, said NSA technology is way beyond the technology in private sector. So it's like a 10 years gap. Do you agree with that?
I'm going to answer it a different way. That might have been true a while ago. But the fact that NSA has had to partner, oftentimes in extraordinary secrecy, in specialized agreements with telcos and information technology firms to tell you that they don't have all the answers, especially in the internet age. In fact, NSA was actually they were about 10 years behind, not 10 years ahead, during the explosion of internet onto the public in the 1990s. They've been playing catch-up ever since, and they accelerated their catch-up in the post 9/11 period in particular. But that required extraordinary cooperation and access to technology and networks through other companies, private sector companies.
What was your first reaction to Mr. Snowden's whistleblowing?
I'd always hoped that someone like Snowden would come along. I actually did. So because all the whistleblowing I had done and with others, it had not stopped the surveillance regime. It can continue to grow and metastasize. But I was not surprised. I knew there would probably be someone like Snowden who would come forward, make the moral choice.
You built long career as an employee in intelligence community. What made you become a whistleblower?
Well, I was exposed to government wrongdoing, government malfeasance, mismanagement, violations of law, and waste, fraud, and abuse. So I saw programs that were being billions and billions of dollars being spent on programs that weren't going anywhere. I saw what happened with 9/11. 9/11 should never have happened. NSA is extraordinarily culpable in 9/11. It had critical intelligence that was not shared properly before 9/11, even after what I call the 9/11 intel failures. And then, of course, the big thing, the thing that was Pandora's box, as we would say, opened up, and I looked into it, and I was staring into the abyss, and that was my own government violating the Constitution.
I believe many changes is going through in America. Do you think the change is enough?
There are changes. It's not enough, but it's a start. Even Snowden has said that it's a start. It's a false start, it's a modest start, but it's a start. At least we're having the conversation. At least there's debate and discussion. How much it'll be part of the 2016 election cycle, we call the silly season, political season in America, I don't know. Should there be more done? Yes, because there's still a whole lot of activity going on by the intelligence community, and particularly FBI and NSA within the United States in particular. Never mind all the overseas stuff, right? That's a whole other dynamic that is still not seen the full light of day and is still ongoing. Remember, the Freedom Act